Good morning, dear students. Please confirm if you are able to hear me, see my presentation as well as me. One of you please confirm. K. Shailesh, can you please confirm if you are able to hear me, see my presentation as well as me. K. Shailesh, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you are able to see my presentation, right? Hear me and my, right? You are able to see me. Am I correct? I can't hear you. M. Navya? M. Navya Kant. 473 M. Navya Kant.
Navyan sir.
Everything is fine?
Navyan sir. Navyata not.
Navyan. Yeah, sorry. Navyan.
Navyan sir.
Yeah. Able to hear? Everything is fine?
Yes sir.
Okay, right. We'll start. So in the previous class, we were discussing distortions, and the three types of distortions were here amplitude distortion, right? Frequency distortion and phase distortion. Okay. So in the previous class, we have discussed amplitude and frequency distortion. Today, we will discuss phase distortion. Okay, we will discuss phase distortion. Okay, so a signal passing through various stages of an amplifier usually comprises of complex wave. Okay, for example, my speech signal, okay, consists of combination of sinusoidal signals of different amplitude and frequency. Okay, say my speech signal is something like that. I can represent that as a combination of sinusoidal signals with different amplitude and frequency. So it's a complex wave. Now, amplifier contains reactive elements like your capacitors and inductors. Okay. So what happens? I hope you know that your capacitor and your inductor, they provide phase shift. Okay. They provide phase shift. Now, due to that phase shift, you have phase distortion. Okay. So whenever you have resistors, inductors, capacitors in your amplifier circuits, they contribute to phase shift, which leads to phase distortion. Now, one of the serious problem is, suppose, okay, you have a signal and that signal is phase shifted by 180 degrees. Okay, so what happens? A sinusoidal signal, if it is phase shifted by 180 degrees, it becomes minus sign. Okay, now whenever you consider a feedback amplifier, this phase shift will change the feedback from positive feedback to negative feedback. How? Sign is becoming minus sign when I'm doing 180 degree phase. Okay, so positive feedback will become negative feedback and negative feedback will become positive feedback due to this problem of phase distortion. Okay, so that may lead to instability. Like, you want negative feedback, we will see why we need negative feedback when we go to the feedback amplifiers unit. But what happens is, you want negative feedback due to phase distortion, the signal is shifted, and instead of having negative feedback, you end up getting positive feedback, and that results in instability. Okay, this is a common problem due to phase distortion. Okay, anyway, now let us see how your phase distortion can change the shape of the waveform. Okay, right? So, for example, say this is the signal that you are expecting. Okay, this is the signal you are expecting. Now, this signal, okay, according to Fourier series, you can represent it in terms of sinusoidal signal, a combination of sinusoidal signals. This is one sinusoidal signal represented by black wave. Next, another sinusoidal signal represented by this green wave, dark green wave. Another sinusoidal signal represented by this light green wave. So when you add up these three, the black sinusoidal signal corresponding to fundamental frequency, which means your, say, you have, as per Fourier series, you represent a signal in terms of combination of sinusoidal signal. The first, okay, omega t, that is your fundamental. 3 omega t, 5 omega t, okay, if you have hard harmonics and so on. Even harmonics, 2 omega t, 4 omega t, so on. Okay, so this is your fundamental frequency signal, which is sin omega t. Black one is sin omega t. Your dark green is in terms of sin 3 omega t, and light green is in terms of sin 5 omega. Okay. Not only that, if you see, the amplitudes are not the same. Okay, right? The amplitudes are not the same. The black sinusoidal signal has a larger amplitude. So, amplitude and then multiplied by the sinusoidal signals, when you add up, you are getting this resultant waveform. Okay. Now, we have discussed that whenever you have inductors and capacitors, for different frequencies, they behave differently because the relation that you have for reactance, okay, of an capacitor, what is XC? XC is 1 by omega, isn't it? Omega 2 pi f. So XC is 1 divided by 2 pi f into C, because f changes, the reactance changes. Okay, that causes your, when connected in combination with the resistor, it causes phase shift. Okay, it causes phase shift. Now let us see what happens. Now in this case there is no phase shift. Okay, in this case there is no phase shift. In phase or harmonics, no phase shift. Now let us see what happens if you have phase shift. Next slide. Okay, what happens if you have phase shift? For example, okay, your, say, third harmonic represented by the dark green waveform, if it is shifted, okay, if it is shifted, now again as per Fourier series, you add up all the sinusoidal, you get the original signal, isn't it? Now when you do that, see, actually previous slide we are expecting something close to a square wave, okay, something close to square wave, yeah, with some ripples. But however, this is now something close to a triangle. Okay. So what is happening due to this distortion? The information is getting changed. Okay, the information is getting changed, and it is a problem, isn't it? You want to hear something, you hear something else. Okay. So now here, let us see how this distortion, okay, has effect under different circumstances. For example, okay, for example, let us consider audio amplifier. Okay, let us consider audio amplifier. In audio amplifier, okay, for example, I am speaking, okay, whether I delay a little bit and speak, okay, phase shift is nothing but your waveform is moving. Okay, if I delay a little bit and speak, or if I speak faster, still you are able to understand. Okay, so that is not a problem. Your human eye doesn't distinguish, so it's okay. But in video signal, Okay, in video signal, whenever you have a phase shift, okay, whenever you have phase shift, then distortion becomes visible. Okay, distortion becomes visible because what do you have in your video signal? You are giving the signal to, for example, you have an LED display. Okay, you are giving it to LED display. Now, when you have phase shift, okay, when you have phase shift, the signal might move to the neighboring LED, okay, your LED TV. Then what happens is the picture may collapse, okay, or it may get jumbled up, and that is a problem. Okay, so no problem for your audio signal, whereas for your video signal, okay, it is a critical problem. So how to avoid phase distortion? Okay, simply avoid the use of reactive components. The problem is due to reactive components, isn't it? So avoid reactive components will avoid your phase distortion. Okay, so what are the reactive components? Capacitor, inductor. Okay, so simply avoid your capacitor and inductor. That will reduce the distortion. Next, so that is the reason you go for direct coupling. Okay. Earlier we have seen different coupling, isn't it? RC coupling, right? Transformer coupling, okay, and so on. We have seen RC coupling, transformer coupling, direct coupling. So in that, direct coupling is preferred because there is no capacitor and inductor involved, and that will lead to lower phase distortion. Okay, fine. So this is about phase distortion. Next, see, so far what are the basics related to amplifiers we have seen. Now, very important topic we are going to discuss. Okay, that is how we will analyze an amplifier. Okay, see, it could be single stage amplifier, it could be your multi-stage amplifier. Okay, it could be cascade amplifier, cascade amplifier, any amplifiers. If you want to do the analysis, okay, today's class is very important, so please concentrate, put utmost concentration. The subject is like this. There are few simple things that you learn, okay, and the same simple things you keep on repeating again and again. Okay, so the simple thing that you will learn today, right? What you will learn is you will learn the equivalent circuit of a transistor. Okay, you will learn the equivalent circuit of a transistor, and you will use that equivalent circuit of the transistor, and you can analyze any transistor based amplifier. Okay, any transistor based amplifier. So very important. Please concentrate. So the next topic is analysis of amplifier circuits using H parameters. Have you studied H parameters in EDC? Can anybody give me an answer? Yes or no? Have you studied EDC? 490 Satvik. 490 Satvik. Are you there? Okay. 480 Chandu. 480. Yes. Have you studied H parameters, hybrid parameters in your EDC?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Yeah, and from next week onwards, see, those of you who are not able to answer, I will note down. Okay, it's your responsibility to get back to me at the end of the class. I will announce those who are not able to answer. It's your responsibility to contact me and get back. Okay, so 490 Satvik, please inform him to contact me and get back to me. Okay, so H parameters. Why do we need to study these H parameters? Okay, very important, because see, you know how to analyze circuits using KCL, KVL. You have been doing that. But if you have transistor, okay, okay, see, directly to the transistor, if you do not understand the functionality, your KCL KVL, okay, your KCL KVL will not be sufficient to analyze the circuit. Okay, so how do you analyze your transistor based amplifier circuit? Very simple. You will take the equivalent of your transistor and replace the transistor with its equivalent circuit. Now that circuit you can analyze by using KVL, KCL. Very simple. Okay, very simple, but lot of analysis. Okay, lot of analysis. You have lot of problems. Okay, lot of mathematical problems you need to solve based on this. Okay, so we will go into H parameters. In order to understand H parameters, first we need to understand two-port network. Okay, now here two-port network is simply one network. Okay, it has input, output, isn't it? A network, what does it have? For example, amplifier, what it has input and it has output, isn't it? Okay, anybody tell me why it is called two-port network? Very easy question. Why it is called two-port network? Girish, 462 Girish. Why it is two-port network? How many ports does it have? Yes, Girish, unmute and answer. Okay. 466 M Aishwarya. Very simple question. Can you tell me why it is called as a two-port network? Fast please. 466 M Aishwarya. Why is it called as a two-port network? Are you there? M Aishwarya.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, can you tell me why it is called as a two-port network? How many ports does it have? Yes. How many ports?
2, sir.
That is the reason it is called as two-port network. Okay, right? So now the hybrid parameter model is valid for a two-port network. Okay. So now in the two-port network, what are the variables we have? The variables we have are input voltage, input current at the input side, output voltage, output current at the output side. Very simple. Okay. Network has input voltage, input current, output voltage, output current. So total 4 variables. Okay. V1, I1, V2, I2. Next. Now in these 4 variables, if I choose input current and output voltage as independent variables. Okay. So again, I'm going back to the previous slide. We have 4 variables, V1, I1, V2, I2. Among these 4, okay, I can choose 2 as independent and represent the remaining 2 in terms of these independent variables. Okay. For example, y is equals to f of x. X is your independent variable. Now, y is dependent on x. Y is a function of x. That is simple. Okay. So, for example, z is equals to f of x comma y. Then x and y are independent. Z is dependent. Z is a function of x, y. So, z is dependent variable. Okay. So, now, so what will be the equation? Say z is equals to f of x plus y. Then you have z is equals to something into x plus something to y, for example. Similarly, because V1 and I2 are dependent on I1 and V2, I can just write some relation. Okay. Now, for now, let us take this H11, H12, H21, H22 or some constants. Ultimately, what I am trying to say, I am trying to say that V1 is a function of I1 and V2. Okay. That I can write mathematically in this form. Similarly, I2 is a function of I1 and V2. Okay. So this is the mathematical form of saying this. Okay, mathematical form of saying this. Okay. Now, here the reason this is chosen to analyze your transistor amplifier circuits is because, okay, here H11, the dimensions of H11, the dimensions of H11 will be in terms of, okay, the dimensions of H11 will be in terms of impedance, okay, and again this will be in terms of admittance. Here voltage gain, okay, here current gain. So because your transistor provides these parameters, S parameter model is suitable to analyze your transistor, okay, because transistor provides voltage gain, it provides current gain, it has input impedance, it has output impedance or admittance, it is the same, okay. Reciprocal of impedance is your admittance, so I can say it has output impedance. If it has output impedance, it has output, okay, admittance. Okay, anyway, in simple words, we are choosing S parameter model to analyze transistor because it suits the transistor functionality. Okay, anyway, so now how do I define H11? Okay, I've taken some constants, I have built equation. Now, how do I define H11? If V2 I make 0, okay, if I make V2 0, H11 will be simply, say, this part after this plus, this term is now 0. If this term is 0, H11 is simply V1 by I1. Okay, so H11 is simply V1 by I1 if V2 is 0. Okay, next, can anybody tell me what will H12 be? I want answer. Think and give me answer. What will H12 be?
Input, sir.
Yes?
H11 input, sir.
H11, okay. H11 is simply V1 by I1 if V2 is 0. Okay. What is H12?
V1 by V2.
Very good. V1 by V2 and what is 0?
I1 equal to 0.
Okay, H12 is V1 by V2 when I1 is 0. Very good. Next, what is H21?
I2 by I1.
When what is 0?
V2 is 0.
Very good. What is H22?
I2 by V2.
When what is 0?
I1 0.
Very good. Okay, that's all. So, see, based on this equation, okay, if I want H11, I should make V2 0, then this term is eliminated, okay, and H11 will be simply V1 by I1. So H11 is V1 by I1 when V2 is 0. Likewise, we can define the remaining, okay, and I'm happy that you are able to give the correct answers. Okay, so here this is voltage by current, hence it is called impedance. Okay, voltage by current is impedance. One, input side. So input voltage by input current, input impedance. Next, 1, 2. Okay, H12 is based on definition, voltage by voltage. Okay, voltage by voltage. See, gain is output voltage by input voltage. However, here we have input voltage by output voltage. Hence, it is called reverse voltage gain. Okay. Now here, output current, anything output by input is gain. Okay, anything output by input is gain. So output current by input current is simply here. Output current by input current is simply here current gain. But here earlier we called reverse voltage gain. So we are calling forward current gain. You can forward current gain or simply you can say current gain. Anything is fine. Okay, next, last. The last one is here. The last one is here. H22. Okay, H22. Based on the definition we got from the previous equation, H22 is I2 by V2. Okay, I2 by V2. V by I is impedance. I by V is admittance. Here we have I by V. So it is admittance. And 2 corresponds to output side. Why 2 corresponds to output side? Previous slide. Okay. 2 is output. Okay. Port 2 is output. So I'm coming back. So output current by output voltage is output current. Simple. Okay. Now, why it is called H parameters? Because why it is called H parameters? Because here we have different dimensions. Okay, H11 is impedance, gain, again admittance. Okay, so different dimensions. So hybrid, it's called as hybrid parameters. Okay, next. Now, very important concept. Okay, see, this will give you experience. Here, what we are now doing is we are generating an equation, generating a circuit from equations. Okay, right? So this experience should help you. Suppose future you are developing some electronics project, you are working on it. This experience should help you in such a manner that if you require some functionality of an equation, there is a circuit which is associated with it, okay, and you're able to develop, right? So this is a basic training that will be useful when you develop an advanced system, okay? So it is like this. Now, because H11 is input impedance, okay, because H11 is input impedance, HI, it is now replaced by HI. H12 was reverse voltage gear. R for reverse, so HR. Okay. Next, R for reverse, so HR. Next, HF, forward current gain. H naught. Okay. Here, H naught is what? H output admittance. Okay. H naught is output admittance. Input impedance, reverse voltage gain, forward current gain, output admittance. Okay. Now, what we are doing, that H11, H12, H21, H22, we are simply replacing based on this, whether it is input, whether it is forward, whether it is reverse, whether it is output. Okay, output. Simple. Now, what we are doing is we will construct a circuit based on this equation. Okay, so this is voltage, right? Voltage, you need a loop, because see, in KVL, what you are doing in KVL, you are generating equation from circuit. In KVL, we have a circuit, and from the circuit you are generating equation. Now we are going to do reverse process. This is like reverse KVL, where from equation you are generating circuit. Means you are trying to develop a circuit which satisfies this equation. Okay. So how to develop that? V1 is equal to, so write V1 at the input voltage. Here V1 is equal to, next, current. Okay, current I1. So write I1. Now there is a voltage drop HI into I1, means that there should be a resistance HI. Then only the voltage drop will be HI into I1. Okay, so we will write one resistor HI. Next, one more term. So what we will do, we will simply take a voltage source, write HRV. Okay, so this is how what we have done. KVL is for a loop. We have taken a loop in such a way that this will generate this equation. It will generate the first equation. Likewise, okay, a simple question for all of you. Voltage is for loop. You apply KVL to a loop. For KCL, that is, you apply KCL to what? Is it to a loop or is it to a node? Can anybody give me answer?
Node, sir.
Very good. Okay. KCL is for a node. Now we have a current equation. Okay, we have a current equation. Now, if you want to represent a circuit which satisfies this current equation, then what you should do? You should take a node. Okay, first I will take a node. This is my node, I will select. Now, I2, current entry. See, KCL is current entering node is equal to sum of currents leaving the node. Okay, right? So current entering is I2. So I2. The currents leaving should be, one should be this, another is this. Okay. Now here again, this is in terms of current. So directly I am taking one current source. Okay. Directly I am taking one current source, HF into I1. Now here, if okay, if this current is I2, obviously the voltage has to be V2, isn't it? Okay. So output. What do you have? What do you have at the output side? Output voltage, output current. Okay. To that we are matching the equation. Okay, now for that, okay, for that, if this current has to be, if the current in this branch has to be H0 into V2, then what should be this term? Okay, what should be that term? That term should be 1 by H0. Let us verify. Okay, let us verify. The current here is voltage divided by this impedance. Okay, so voltage is V2. V2 divided by 1 by H0. Okay, what is that? V2 by 1 by H0. What is that? Anybody give me answer? Please give me answer. What will that be? Are you getting back H0 V2? Okay. Yes or no? We are getting back H0.
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay. Able to understand? Any confusion? So in this, see, this is a practice for you where, see, so far what we are doing, you are using KCL, KVL, getting equation from circuit. Okay. Reverse is also possible, right? Likewise, when you learn something, just don't say, okay, I have learned this, it is sufficient. Think, okay, I have learned this. Further, what I can imagine and further learn without reading. Okay. Bring subject from inside. Okay. Now, so this is what we have. From equations, we got circuit. Now this circuit, okay, this circuit, I can use in place of, any two-port network. We started from a two-port network, we got an equivalent circuit. Now that equivalent circuit, I can replace in terms of a two-port network. Now, if I represent my transistor amplifier, what does amplifier have? Input, output, isn't it? Input port, output port. Input is a smaller signal, output is amplified signal. So I can view my transistor amplifier as a two-port network. I can view my transistor amplifier as a two-port network. So I can represent my amplifier, or I can solve my amplifier using two-port network. By using H parameters, because we have discussed H parameters for two-port networks, and that is what we'll be doing now. Okay, so let us go for an amplifier. Have you seen this amplifier? Yes or no? Anybody give me answer? So far, this is an example of a common emitter amplifier. Okay, this part is for biasing. This part is for biasing. Okay, why biasing? For the transistor to act as an amplifier, it should be operated in active region, preferably in the center of the active region. Okay, to keep the transistor in the center of the active region, this part of the circuit will put the transistor in the center of the active region. Okay, now once it is in the center of the active region, you give input here, then it will amplify output. Okay, that is how it works. So how to analyze your transistor based amplifier circuit is, first, see, amplification means you are giving small AC signal and you are getting larger AC signal. So what analysis we should do? Is it AC analysis or DC analysis? To analyze amplifier, we are simply amplifying one small AC signal into large AC signal. Okay, so you should do AC analysis. Okay, AC analysis means, for AC, capacitor will act as short circuit. Okay, for AC, capacitor will act as short circuit, and DC you can replace by ground. Okay, because your AC, when you are doing AC analysis, DC is replaced by ground. So this point is now connected to ground. Okay, this point is now connected to ground. And then what do you have? This one, then RS, capacitor short circuited, means what VS, RS directly connected to transistor. Okay, VS, RS directly connected to transistor. Next, actually you will have R1. Okay, see, R1 is going from this point to VCC. So from this point to VCC, but VCC is grounded. So R1 will come from here to ground. Okay. Likewise, R2 is from here to ground. Now, see, this junction is forward biased. Forward biased junction has low resistance. Current will choose low resistance path. So the R1, the R2 that are supposed to be here, you can simply ignore. Okay, you can simply ignore. And then at the output side, you are taking output here. So this capacitor is simply shorted. So direct short. And then from here you have your resistor. Okay, you have your resistor, and that is represented here. Okay, a combination of these two resistors, in fact, we are writing it as RL. In simple words, this is the equivalent for your CE amplifier. Now this you can replace by H parameters and analyze. Okay, we will see that in the next class. Please send attendance. We will stop here. Thank you.